Talagang binida ni GMA si Rizzo. Anong loan descent? Hello? Loan descent. Yan ang problema. At ito yung problema kapag majority pag yung majority magkakaalyado. Pag super majority naman ang nasa Senate. Sinabi ko na sa inyo to noong election eh. Pag super majority ang nasa Senate, halos parang rubber stamp na lang siya. And bakit ganon? Bakit may ganong klaseng Ba't may ganong klaseng sistema? Ba't hindi na lang nag-dissent si Senator Imee? Alam nyo kasi mga kotsero, pag nag-dissent ka, it means you're saying no, di ba? But how would it appear to your colleagues who are also who are very very supportive of the measure, di ba? So okay lang yan. Nag-abstain na lang siya, hindi ako boboto. Ganun. She abstained. Which tells me na I don't think hindi, feeling ko hindi yan. Syempre si Senator Risa Ontiveros kontra yan dahil syempre Marcos yung nakaupo eh. Marcos nakaupo! So lahat ng gusto ni Marcos kontrahin ko. Ganun siya. Ganun si Risa Ontiveros. Pag si Senator Imee abstain, hindi ako boboto. Kumbaga, hindi pa siya convinced na pwede siyang mangyari. Pero bago tayo pumunta sa ating topic na yan, tayo ay magbibigay-pugay muna sa ating mga kaibigan sa SendWave. Ayan. Si SendWave po, mga kotsero, ay isang mobile app na pwede nyo pong gamitin para magpadala sa inyong mga minamahal sa buhay dito sa Pilipinas nang wala pong remittance fees. Ang gagawin nyo lang, mga kotsero, i-download ang inyong app at i-register inyong i-register inyong bank account sa SendWave at pwede na kayo magpadala sa GCash sa mga iba't ibang pawn shops at iba't ibang bangko sa Pilipinas. Also, kung gagamit nyo po ang promo code na Coach Jarret, ayan, makakakuha din kayo ng $10 free credit. So, mga kotsero kapag kayo ay nasa US, UK, Canada, Italy, France, Spain, Ireland, and Belgium, gamitin nyo na po si SendWave for your remittance needs. Ngayon, sa hindi nakakaintindi pa ng RCEP at bakit pinipilit ito ng mga at kung bakit pabor ito sa mga importers. Ito po kasi mga kotsero. The agreement eliminates up to 90% of tariffs, ibig sabihin, ng mga i-import. The government says by joining RCEP, the Philippines gains improved market access for goods and services to other member countries as well as reduced. Only 15 agricultural commodities will see lower tariff rates. On the other hand, there will be no tariff cuts on rice, corn, pork, poultry, meat, potatoes, onion, garlics, coffee, sugar, and other products. Bakit? Meron ka ng tariff cut sa rice eh. Hello, meron tayong rice tarification law. Natural, hindi mo nababawasan yung tax niyan. Sa corn, pork, poultry, meat, potatoes, yan meron pa naman dyan eh. Bakit? Tingin nyo ba RCEP lang ang trade agreement natin? Meron na nga tayong case study dun sa rice tarification law eh, na ngayon gusto nang i-repeal. Intro ko muna. Si Senator Imee Marcos kanina kumontra dyan sa pag-ratify ng RCEP. Ito yung pagkontra niya. Medyo mahaba lang, 12 minutes. Pero panoorin natin.
That international bodies and organizations such as the ADB, the World Bank, the UNCTAD have recognized the immense value and importance of the RCEP, especially in the post-pandemic recovery. However, it should be observed that the UNCTAD itself, in a research paper by Dr. Nishita,
UN Committee for Trade and Development,
the tariff concessions under the RCEP will result in lower exports by the Philippines, completely the opposite claim by the administration. The study shows that the overall effect of RCEP will be a decrease in Philippine exports by $100 million. In another study by Boston University, Rashmi Banga et al., it was shown that Philippine exports will decline by 0.2% and imports would rise by 0.2% at the very least. Even with the sensitive lists of tariff rate quotas, as mentioned by our colleague in the annexes, by Senator Chis Escudero, the paper estimated that the Philippines' balance of trade in goods will deteriorate by a minimum of 1.1% or a loss of USD 260 million per annum. So it will get quite a bit worse before it gets any better. All these losses on top of an estimated $58 million in tariff revenue losses annually.
Mr. President, I always say the proof in the pudding is in the eating.
Sorry pero yung argumentong na the proof of the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Ibig sabihin, pasa muna natin, tas saka natin malalaman. What the hell is that? Panoorin pa natin.
RCEP's ratification on all these other countries. But we have seen in the region, Mr. President, I mentioned it yesterday and in my speech last week. Exports in RCEP countries increased, particularly Vietnam. But simplifying it is that our neighbors had gained higher exports from joining RCEP since last year.
But essentially, yung kanyang sinabi dyan is, yung mga ating ASEAN neighbors had an increase in their trade, in their exports in particular. ASEAN neighbors. Pakinggan pa natin.
Yes, with no desire to argue with our distinguished Senate President, the data provided must be placed in its proper context.
Right.
Because even if indeed Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia manifested increases in their trade, the truth is they can't all be credited to RCEP. It means simply that we are trading more actively with our neighbors here in ASEAN. As an example, China-Philippines bilateral trade increased by 8.3% during the first 11 months of 2022, a clear recovery from the pandemic. We were not members of RCEP, but that uptick was very clear-cut. Philippine exports to South Korea increased by 16.9%, again during the same period of the first 3 quarters of 2022, where in fact both South Korea and China are RCEP members, and still the Philippines was not. In fact, our increase in trade was greater than these examples stated of Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam without RCEP.
The flip side is if we don't join RCEP and we stay isolationist in this region, you think the people that we talked to in Japan last weekend with the president, your brother, will they want to go to the Philippines and expand their trade here? They can take it to Vietnam. They can take it to Cambodia. They can take it to other countries that are within the RCEP because it's more advantageous to them.
President. Yes, respectful.
Because it's more advantageous to them. Natural, mga kakutsero, ganito kasi yan. Kapag ako ay foreign investor at ako ay nag-invest sa Pilipinas, halimbawa lang, saan ako kukuha ng raw mats ko? Di abroad. China. China is an RCEP member. Di pag kumuha ko ng materyales ko doon, in-import ko sa Pilipinas, syempre, pabor sa akin yan. Mas halos duty free. Natural, gagawin din talaga nila yan pang hostage. But then again, kapag nag-import sila sa Pilipinas, let's say, natuloy sila sa Pilipinas, nag-import sila, may projections na ba sila nung itong mga investments na to, how much they're going to contribute to our Philippine economy? With RCEP and without RCEP? Sinabi lang ni Senator Imee kanina stumbling block ba yan sa ating exports? With ang RCEP, nakatulong ba sa atin yan? Nag-i-export tayo with China, with South Korea, both RCEP members. Did they not trade with the Philippines? Tayo, wala tayong RCEP. They did. China did 8%. Tumaas daw na 8% ng export natin with China without RCEP. South Korea, 16% without RCEP. Is it really a stumbling block? Kasi papatayin niya ng small tsaka medium enterprises sa Pilipinas. Lalo na ngayon, hindi pa maayos ang supply chain natin. Sige.
Of the deadlines imposed upon this House as well as on the Senate President, may I just raise the following questions by way of manifestation that the sponsors may or may not answer. We are repeatedly told everywhere we go that we are the last country to ratify this trade agreement, this treaty. However, the reality is, at the outset, a major economy refused to even join the discussion. Is
India.
it not a fact that India did not join RCEP precisely because of concerns similar to ours here in the Philippines on threats of circumvention of rules of origin, issues of trade deficit, and the potential flood of imported goods? We share the same problems with India, except they're much bigger and they're much stronger. And what about that growing trade deficit? Not projected, but actually recorded already in several countries. This is a major concern po. I would also like to mention that a statement was made by the sponsors that adequate safety nets are provided in the agreement to cover unwarranted or exceptional circumstances. May I simply say that these supposedly sufficient safeguards are no safeguards at all, simply because the success rate for successfully defending Article 20 of the GATT and the Article 14 of the GATT, the Services Agreement, is less than 3%. A study in 2015 reveals that out of 43 cases involving Article 20 of GATT and Article 14 of GATT, only one was successful. Wala naman dyan nananalo eh. Kaya itong mga emergency measures na sinasabi, parang palamuti na lang at parang consuelo de bobo, pagkat hindi naman nagagamit, hindi naman napapanalunan. Nakita natin sa rice tarification law, may fund na sinasabi. Yet studies show that the income of farmers fell by 40%. How do we ensure that the measures indicated will indeed protect the vulnerable sectors? Eto nga ang mga problema natin. May bisa ba talaga itong mga safety nets na to? Ginagamit ba natin ng madalas? At talaga bang may epekto? Yan ang tanong ko. Conclusion, that there are great potential gains for the Philippine agricultural sector. It is not clear how the sector can capitalize on these potential gains, given the sorry state of agriculture in this country. Presently, we're struggling to provide basic agricultural services that were promised as early as 1994 with the WTO. Hanggang ngayon, in the last 10 years, ang compounded annual growth rate of irrigated areas is only 2%. We cannot deliver the basic services. Do we really believe we can deliver the services necessary to make our farmers capitalize and transform into competitive partners in whatever RCEP has to offer? In addition, a good bulk of the potential exports of Philippine agricultural products will be destined for China. Given the recent moves by our government, which China has specifically already manifested their disappointment with the additional EDCA sites, is it realistic to project that China will be buying all our durians? This is a concern. Lastly, and as I said, I have no desire to torment my peers.
Why not create laws? Ba't hindi na lang gumawa ng mga batas na susuporta sa ating agricultural sector, sa ating small and medium enterprises? But not until we take care of our own first. Hindi pa nga kayang alagaan pamilya mo, mag-aalaga ka ng ibang tao. It doesn't matter. The fact is we are not ready because of three things. We don't have the adequate measures to protect our to fix our supply chain, number one. Number two, may problema tayo sa energy. Sige, open ang Pilipinas for investments. Aminado si PBBM dyan. Problema natin ng energy. Hindi sila makapagtayo ng mga planta sa mga probinsya. Bakit? Kasi hindi kaya ng power ng mga probinsya na yon mag-power ng isang planta. Number three, problema natin sa ease of doing business. Bakit? Bago ka makapag-start ng negosyo sa Pilipinas, ang dami-daming bureaucratic red tape ang kailangan mong gawin.